I hope you are keeping well, and inshallah I hope you've benefited from the 10 days of Muharram. Inshallah today we're going to have a special lecture for Ashura. Our series commentary on Dua Arafah inshallah will continue Fridays. Every Friday inshallah will continue that. But today, inshallah, we're going to have a different lecture. So the topic is not going to be commentary on Dua Arafah. Inshallah, as I said, that one will continue every Friday till, inshallah, we finish that lecture. I think we've covered half of the dua, a little bit more than half of the dua. And inshallah, we'll continue because I think Dua Arafah has been very beneficial, at least for myself, in order to have a better understanding of Imam Hussein and Ashura. But having said that, inshallah, Dua Arafah every Friday will continue. Today, I'm going to talk about something which I think is very beneficial for us, very important, in order to place ourselves correctly, in order to know what is our stance, where is our position. So we're going to have a very important topic, and that is the difference between the way Imam Hussein, Prophet, Imam Ali, God look at insan, look at the events that happen, and the other way of looking at insan and the world and all of that. And then we will try to see if we are actually looking at insan in the same way as Imam Hussein or not. Because one of the important things that inshallah today I will try to get across is that claiming to be with Imam Hussein does not mean that you are on his side. And this is one of the challenges of being in this world. See, when you're in this world, you can be fooled or deceived by appearances. How so? You can have the appearance of a good person, whereas inside there are all sorts of issues. And as a result of that, you may slowly get deceived as well. Oh, I'm a good person. Or it's so easy to shout, I love this person. I am with this person. Right? So you can get the appearances, but not having the real essence. And this causes a lot of problems. Why? Because sometimes we forget. And I'm going to tell you that this has been going on from the very early on that the Prophet came. There were many people who were close to the Prophet but did not think like him. And that's why you see towards the end of Prophet's life, in a lot of the surahs, there are so many verses that tells people, guys, your appearance is very different to what's inside you, right? There's a lot of that. And you see the same is with Imam Ali, the same is with Imam Hussein. A lot of people around them who are not looking at the world at insan the same way they were doing. So now I want to tell you that the battle is going on is not, for example, between Husseinis and like Yazidis, because a lot of people try to do that. We are with Hussein, we are Husseini, let's go and fight, for example, evil, let's go and fight injustice. This is not the battles that have been going on in the world, no. There are two ways of looking at insan, and the battle is between these two. And you will see that these two sides have very different ways of engaging in a battle. And unfortunately, we have not only misunderstood this, but we are also telling it wrong to the next generation. We have been deceived ourselves, and the deception is being carried out in the next generations. In other words, we are introducing Imam Hussein to people, Imam Ali to people, as if a person on the camp of Umar bin Saad is introducing Imam. And I'll explain this how. For example, let's say these days, what is one of the things that a lot of us, I've seen in some of sessions, in some matams, in some rules, a lot of people are saying, these enemies in front of Imam Hussein may be destroyed, this, that, right? If only I was there I could kill Shem, for example. These things they say. You see, it's a lot of anger, or for example, I've even heard, I can't wait to get revenge for Imam Hussein. so that his heart can finally be calm. Let's make Lady Zahra, for example, calm, happy by getting revenge. And this shows me that the person who is saying this, with all the beautiful intentions they have no clue regarding who Lady Zahra is, who Imam Hussein is. Do you think, for example, that after 1,400 years right now, Imam Hussein is waiting for someone to get revenge, like to more blood to be shed? Is this what they're really saying? Can't wait for the one who's taking revenge, right? And all of this, unfortunately, goes back to our incorrect understanding of these people. What was their view of the world? Even we have misread the du'as, misinterpreted the du'as, and as a result of this, we think we're following them, but our worldview looks more like the worldview of Umar bin Saad than does of Imam Hussein. And I'll explain this. I know it's a huge claim, but let's go through it. Before starting the topic, though, let me say that this is in no way an attack or criticism. This is just us trying to, now that, alhamdulillah, we have been given by previous generations this beautiful platform that we can come together and remember Imam Hussein. I'm saying let's take it to the next level. Let's remember the actual Imam Hussein, right? We're doing great. Alhamdulillah, the previous generations have done great. But there is still a level to go. We are not there yet. We don't know Imam Hussein well. We say, Allahumma aj'al mahyaya mahya Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. But which kind of life is this? We say, oh God, we want to live like they lived. But then whatever we say, whatever comes out of our mouth has nothing to do with what they wanted. Now, this has been, by the way, even from the time of Imam Ali. In the Battle of Siffin, when the army of Imam Ali had access to water, right? The people around Imam Ali were like, yes, now we're going to do what they did to us. Right? We're going to go and block their access to water. And then on the other side, these were so people on the side of Imam Ali. But on the other side, right? On the other side, on the side of Muawiyah, someone goes to Amr and says, you know what? The side of Ali have water now there. And the people are saying, we're going to block your access to water. We're scared. What do we do? And Amr bin As, even though he's on that side, he knows Imam Ali better than his friends. He says, do you really think Ali would block anyone's access to water? You have no idea who Ali is. See, Amr bin As, even though he's on the other side, he has a better understanding of Ali than Imam Ali's own friends. They were with Imam Ali, but they were like, no, we have to go and block the water, block their water. And one says, no, what's the point of that? What are we here to do? That's not what we want. So you see, you can be next to Imam Ali and have a view at insan which allows you to deprive them of water. But Imam Ali says, no, I have a different way of looking at the world. I have a different way of looking at insan. You have no idea what this insan in front of you is. There is so much respect, and even me, you have no idea who I am. I will never be able to do this. This is not nice, right? So you have to know this is the person we're claiming to follow. Are we like that? Or are we all about revenge, destroy this? The enemies are this. Why does this happen? Because we love Imam Hussein, but we don't look at insan the same way as Imam Hussein. We love Prophet, we don't look at insan the same way that Prophet looks at insan. And which is ultimately the way God looks at insan. Well, inshallah, I'll talk to you about this. But let me give you another example to show that even when it came to Prophet, it was the same. When Prophet finally, after many years of being away from Mecca, they managed to go back to Mecca. And imagine what people in Mecca had done to them. Many of the Muslims were originally from Mecca, true? They kicked them out of their houses, they tortured them, they killed many of them. And even when they went to Medina to have like a life away from that, they kept attacking them, killing them, or stealing from them. So people of Mecca have done all of this to people of Medina. Now, after a long time, they're going back to Mecca. The Muslims are going back to Mecca, right? Now, you can see at this point, it's a very beautiful point in history, which again shows us that the vision Prophet has of insan cannot be easily transferred to people as soon as they call themselves Muslim. Just because I'm a Muslim, I love Prophet, I love Imam Ali, doesn't necessarily mean that you're looking at the world the same way as them. And this showed itself very clearly on that day. When Muslims are going back to Mecca, a lot of them are chanting, yes, today is the day of taking our revenge. You guys kicked us out of our houses. You guys killed us. You guys tortured us. Today, we're going to take revenge. And the Prophet's like, guys, what? No. Al-yawm yawmul marhamah. Al-yawm yawmul marhamah. Today is the day of mercy. Today is the day of love. It's of the forgiveness. And دیگه حالا don't tell me if I, for example, tell you that Imam Hussein showed love to enemy. You're like, do you know what the enemy did to Imam Hussein? Do you know what the enemy did to Prophet? Do you know what they did to Hamza, the uncle of Prophet? Do you know how much they broke the hearts? Do you know how many Muslims they tortured? How many of them died when they were being tortured? So don't start this game of, do you know what they've done? Because do you know what they did to Prophet? And still when he went to Mecca, he was like, no, today's the day of mercy. Why? Why is the Prophet like this? And why are we not like this? Because we are not. We are not. Just look at our wishes. Look at the things we try to transfer to the next generation when it comes to Imam Hussein. Yes, they're going to take revenge of Imam Hussein. It means we don't even know Imam Hussein well. And it's very important. We are not looking at the world, at insan, the same way, unfortunately. Now this, as I said, is the main topic for today. And of course, I will try to explain to us what is this view that they had of insan that made them such people, and also I'll try to link this back to our life. So bear in mind, this is what we're going to talk about. It's not that in the world there are some Shemris and Yazidis and then some Imam Husseinis, or that there are some Muslims and then there are some non-Muslims, or whatever crazy category we believe in to put ourselves on the good side. Because, one of the ulama had a very beautiful point. He said Imam Hussein has been remembered for many centuries, and all the time people who remembered him, they always fought there on his side, right? Have you seen anyone who would commemorate Ashura and say, oh, what if we are on the wrong side? What if there's something wrong with me? No, it's so crazy. Yani, we've deceived ourselves with these categories that, no, we're on the right side. Yes, this is me, Husseini, and then beautiful. But if you look at history, for 14 centuries, that's what's been happening. The first person who mourned Imam Hussein, who started sessions of mourning for Imam Hussein, was Yazid, right? He first ordered to kill Imam, and then when things are going bad, he said, no, now let's have mournings. Let's turn the tables, right? And then you saw a lot of people getting up and saying, we want to take revenge, whereas none of the Ahlul Bayt supported them. So you can see, and this has been going on. Sometimes you see two sides fighting each other, both saying we're with Hussein. So just to have sessions for Imam Hussein, just to have this love, does not mean we're on the right side. These categories don't work this way. In the same way that at the time of Prophet, there were so many people who categorically were in the right side, right? They were Muslims, categorically, they were fine. They were in the category. But how many verses in the Quran are, مثلا, telling the Muslims, in your heart, I know what's happening. You're not with the Prophet. And they showed it, they showed it. They showed it that they were categorically on the right side of history, but categorical, that doesn't mean anything. So it's not about who you claim to support. It's not about whose name you put on your children. None of this matters. What matters, it is what is your worldview, what is your view of insan, and is that worldview and is that view that you have of insan the same as Imam Ali or not, right? So let me give you one thing. Is insan in your eye something that can be, for example, you can deprive of water? And this shows two things at the same time. Like the people on Imam Ali's side who wanted to deprive people of Muawiyah from water, they didn't know two things about insan. One, that an insan on the other side, even though it's your enemy, you don't do that. You are not allowed to disrespect insan like that and not give them water, right? And also yourself, you're not allowed to do this to yourself. this thing you are, this soul created by God. You're not allowed to use it this way. Like this cruelty does not suit you. You are from God. This cruelty of not giving people water does not suit you. Right? They didn't know these things. But they were next to Imam Ali. And I want to say the same is true with many of us. We still don't know the rank of insan. A lot of our dreams are dreams like people who were there. So, having said that, now let's go and see what was this view of insan they had. These past few nights, those who were with us when we were talking about commentary on Dua Arafah, Imam Hussein made it so clear that, see, this is my view of insan. He explains it fully in Dua Arafah. He says, if you're claiming to be with me, know that this is my view of insana. Don't claim to be on my side, for example, if this is not the worldview you have. What are some of the qualities of insan? What respect does it deserve, this insan? We'll see in Dua Arafah. And it's very beautiful because Imam says, baby, this is the way God looks at insan. So you're only going to succeed if you start looking at insan in the same way that God does. And he explains, see, insan is a divine project. Every single person is a divine project of God. It's in Dua Arafah. This doesn't stop anyone from being part of this, right? I'll talk about it later. No, every single person is part of this. He says, long before every single human being is created, God has a plan for them. It's in Dua Arafah, word by word. God has a plan. I have created this soul. And Imam Hussein says, in the world, no one has power to create except for God. And God says, from my power of creation, I'm going to give to this insan. So, God's power of creation given to insan. And then this insan is protected by God even before coming to this world, even before being born, right? God says, Imam Hussein says in Dua Arafah, that from generations to generations throughout history, this empire comes, that empire comes, this empire goes. God keeps this person and says, you know what, the time for you has not come yet. This gift of creation I have given you, God's power within us, right? God's power within us. God says, I have a plan for you. You're going to shine at this certain time. So let me carry you throughout history. Let me protect you. And when the time is right, you will be born in the exact place where you can shine the most. Even the family we're born into, even the place we're born into. All of this is the place in which we could have shown ourselves the best way. Imam Hussein is saying for every single person. And then when God brings this person, Imam Hussein says two lines which I want you to know because it's going to be very crucial for us. He says, وَفِيهِ أَنْشَأْتَنِي وَمِنْ قَبْلِ ذَلِكَ رَأُفْتَ بِي. You brought me to this world and you loved me even before that. Right? I remember there was this beautiful Persian poem that said to God, oh God, what is about you? Right? That I came to this world loving you. And Imam Hussein answers, he says, you came to this world loving God? The poet said to God, because even before you came to this world, God loved you. So you never started the love. God started the love, and that was way before you even came to this world. Right? وَفِيهِ أَنْشَأْتَنِي وَمِنْ قَبْلِ ذَلِكَ رَأُفْتَ بِي. And this is not about you and me. This is about every one of us. Me, you, every single person in this world. Think about all the people right now that you might even hate. Right? Or for example, people we call as the evil ones in the world. Every single one of them is included in this. Every single person. I want to show you how much we're different to Imam Hussein. In our mind, right now even in this world, especially for those who are like a little bit politically minded, there are some people that, no, this person, this president, this for example, no, it's evil. But Imam Hussein says, Baba, every single one of them, I'll explain later, every single human being has been loved even before coming to this world. And then he says, وَابْتَدَأْتَنِي بِنِعْمَتِكَ وَلَمْ أَكُنْ شَيْئًا أَذْكُرًا. You started giving me blessings before I was even a thing, before I even had a name. Remember what we're talking about. What I'm talking about is this. our view of insan is very different to the view of Imam Hussein. And just by claiming we are Husseinis doesn't put us on the right side. Okay? Now, what is Imam Hussein's view? Imam Hussein's view of insan is this. He's explaining. He says insan, every single insan, was loved before coming to this world by God. It's a divine project. And then it comes to this world. And when it comes to this world, God takes care of it. And every single step of the way, God is there. It says, even when your parents feed you, even when your parents take care of you, the love they show, Imam Hussein says, God puts the love in their heart. Every single step, till you start talking, then this happens, then that happens. Oh? So all of this, Imam Hussein says, baby, God has, can't you see how much love and effort God has put in every single human being? And then you expect me to deprive this of water? This insan, this beloved of God, do you expect me to deprive them of water, to want bad for them, to want them to die, to want them to get wasted? Hope if you think this, even if you're on the side of Ali, your worldview is like the other side, which was the case. Imam says, no, this is not what we're going to do. Hope. Although we said this, now someone may immediately say, yes, but what about those who do a lot of mistakes, right? This love will stop. This love will stop if people make mistakes. Hope Imam Hussein even answers this in Dua Arafah. He says, no. He says, God's love is non-stoppable. I'll even read you the line. Hope Imam Hussein says, no, don't say these things about God. يا ذا المعروف الذي لا ينقطع أبدا. يا ذا المعروف الذي لا ينقطع أبدا. Says God is beautiful. God's love, God's beauty will never stop. لا ينقطع أبدا. If you are looking at insan in the same way that God does, then your ma'ruf will also never stop. Which is what happened with Prophet, which is what happened with Imam Ali, which is what happened with Imam Hussein. Their love never stopped. Their kindness never stopped. They never deprived even their enemies of water. But for us, because we're not like that, and it's not our fault. The thing is, we don't know how precious insan is. We don't know how valuable insan is. So as soon as we think they're making mistakes, we're like, love is enough. Love is enough. You know what it's like? It's like, for example, if you have a phone and you don't know how much it's worth. Listen, if you have a phone and you think this phone is only worth £100, and now the screen is broken, and you're like, the phone is £100. If I want to get the screen fixed, it's going to cost me 150, 100. Let's just throw the phone away, right? So if your view of insan is that it's not worth much, so as soon as you see any brokenness, any damage, you're like, let's throw it away. There's loads of other insan. But you don't know that, Baba, every single insan is the most expensive phone there is. Imam Hussein says, do you know this insan you just want to throw away because of one mistake? Do you know how many thousand years of God's love and care has gone into it? Imagine if you had a phone that was worth, I don't know, £10,000. Like I remember a few years ago, it was like trend to have gold-plated phones, right? Gold-plated. So like even if the phone didn't cost much, because of the gold, it costed a lot. Now imagine if you bought a gold-plated phone and now the screen breaks. They say it's going to cost you £300. Will you throw the phone away? You say, no, the phone is worth £10,000. Even if I have to spend £300, I'll spend it. Let's fix this phone. It's worth it. Now you see why Imam Hussein is different to us. Because we look at people, we see £100 phones. Yeah, this one made a mistake. You're out. That one made a mistake. You're out. But Imam Hussein looks and says, wow, 1,000 years of God's love is there. 1,000 years of God's love and care is there. 1,000 years of God's love and care is there. God's soul is there. It's making a mistake. Let me go and show it love so I can fix it. Even if it costs me a lot. Even if I have to go through pain. Even if my family has to go through pain. What can we do? This phone is worthy. We have to fix it. Right? Imagine you've got a £10,000 phone and you have to pay the $300 to fix it, and $300 is so much for you, but you still have to do it. Even if it's difficult, we have to do it. And this is exactly what you see on the day of Ashura. It's very difficult to show love to those people, but you have to do it. And he does. And he does. Let's continue with Dua Arafah, and then I'll give you more examples. So see, what happens is that God looks at insan this way. It says, I've put so much love and value in every single one of you. And I said, immediately someone may say, what about these people who did all of this hideous crimes, these brutal acts? دیگه God's love should stop دیگه. At that point God's love stops دیگه. Imam Hussein answers in dua عرفه. وَلَمْ يَمْنَعْكَ جَهْلِي وَجُرْأَتِي على أن دللتني إلى ما یقربونی الک الا یقربونی الک. خب پس دیگه محسن خودش says دیگه لم یمنعک جهلی و جرأتی. My mistakes, my shortcomings, even my audacity will never stop you from loving me. Imam Hussein sees, Baba, when I look at insan, this is what I see. Even when it makes mistakes, God still loves it. خب دیگه Imam Hussein is reporting دیگه insan, even when it makes mistakes, even when it challenges God, even when it has audacity to go one-on-one against God, still God loves it. Imam Hussein is saying. And not just that, Imam Hussein Dua Arafi explains, Baba, insan is so important for God. Even when it makes some mistakes, God doesn't allow anyone to know. How many of us, we've made crazy mistakes, terrible mistakes, that even if our loved ones knew, they would have stopped talking to us. At least I know, I'm not proud of some of the things I've done. But there are a lot of people who don't even know. Because God is like that. God says, no, I don't want everyone to know. I don't want to expose you. You know how many things about us which God never exposed? Well, Imam Hussein says something which is even more beautiful. Imam Hussein, in that line, he has Ya Akram man afa, about God. Imam Hussein says about God, you are the most beautiful, the most noble when you forgive. And Ayatollah Jawadi Amali here has a beautiful point. He says, you know what's one of the noble things about God when he forgives? He says sometimes when God forgives, God sees that still this insan remembers. Masalan, God says, I've forgiven you, but so, I know you forgave me, but I remember I did this. And it's making me feel bad, I feel terrible. He says, okay, I'll make you forget. Ayatollah Jawadi says one of the ways God shows love when he's forgiving is that it makes you even forget the wrong you've done. And that's why they say, for example, inshallah, once we all heal, and of course, if we've made a mistake, we have towards a person, we'll definitely want to go and correct that. That's a different issue. But if it's just something that, let's say we've corrected that, but still we feel terrible. He says, God will even help you forget so that you're not suffering. This is God. Not only our mistakes don't stop him from loving us, he even helps us. So, let's just remember again, where are we? What we are talking about is that the issue, Afwan. Why am I saying Afwan Arabic? Okay, معذرت میخوام. The issue is not whether you claim to be with Hussein, with Ali, with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or on the other side. No. These categories, chop them and put them aside. My mom told me don't say anything, throw them away. That may be rude. Thank you, mother. I'll try to be more polite. So, this understanding we've had, let's put it aside and consider other understanding. It's never that, let me say it in this way maybe. The issue in the world is not a fight between bad people and good people. Because this is the way we're looking at it. There are bad people, there are good people. And usually what we do is we place ourselves in the good people and we're like, let's go take revenge of the bad people. Let's end the bad people. Let's destroy the bad people. Isn't this the view we have? Even right now. Forget about issues about Imam Hussein and Shimr and all of that. Even politically. Many people are like, these political peoples are bad. If only I can stop them, get them out of the office, everything's going to be beautiful. So usually the way we look at the world is, okay, the problem is caused by the bad people. We're in the good people. Let's destroy. Let's get... God looks at it how? He says, no, these categories of good and bad you've created, forget about it. Forget about it. This is all you've made it. There is no such a category. There is no category that just with saying a few lines or wearing, for example, a certain cloth and doing some matam, you can be safe. No, there is no such a category. I showed you. They were next to Imam Ali, but they were thinking differently. So, there is no category that these are the good, these are the bad, and you can join the category. No, there are two ways of looking at the world and insan. What are these two ways? One way, which looks at insan as something disposable. Oh, this person made a mistake. Oh, let's put him in the bad category. Destroy, problem solved. I'm in the good category. Oh, I need more power. More power to me. But the other view says, no. Baba, chi insan is disposable. This insan you put in the bad category you want to dispose of, that's part of my project. That's thousands of years of God's love and care. In this view, not only you can't put other people in the bad category, you can't even put yourself in the good category. Because how do you know? How do you know? What is your guarantee that you're in the good ones? Remember what I was saying about Imam Hussein's, one of the ulama was saying, one of the great ulama, he said for 14 centuries, people have been commemorating Imam Hussein and not one group ever said, we're looking at Imam Hussein and we'll think we're wrong. No, everyone is like, oh, we are with Hussein, right? We are the right ones. How? Where did you get this guarantee from? I told you some of the qualities of this person. This person showed love to his enemy. This person showed love to his enemy, had respect for his enemy. His enemy said, I want to come back. He said, okay, come back. I've mentioned this story a lot of the times. Hur ibn Riyahi said, Imam, I know I've done this for 10 days. I've kept you guys here. I've stopped you here. Now I want to come back. What's the situation? Imam said, come. Hassan, you know what? Not only I'll forgive you, not only that, but Hassan, I'll talk to God as well. I'll talk to God. Hassan, I'll do your shafa'at. 10 days this person stopped the Imam Hussein, his family, didn't give them water, all sorts of injustices, brutalities. 1 second, I want to come back. Come back. Are we like this? Are we like this? Allah, forget about our enemies. Are we like this even to our children, to our families? If we're not, then what guarantee do we have that we are with Imam Hussein on the day when the appearances go away? Because see, appearances give us false safety. The appearance that, for example, my name is Masalan Hussein. I've even named my son Hussein. Or for example, see, I'm I'm doing all of this. This gives us false safety. But false safety, either in this world or in the other world, at one point it will go away, which is what happened to the people of Kufa. Imagine if history had been shaped differently. Imam Hussein never came to Karbala. All of us would look at the people of Kufa and say, these are the most beautiful people there are. Thousands of letters they wrote to Imam Hussein. And one of the ulama was mentioning this point. He said, imagine if time stopped at that point. On the one hand, you have Hur, which is with the enemy, and on the other hand, you have people of Kufa. They're writing letters to the Imam, and after this Alim mentioned this point, I went and actually read the letters. Believe me, if you read letters of people of Kufa, you're like, wow, beautiful people. Let's invite them for Muharram next year. Imagine. Masalan, Muharram 2021, speaker, Masalan, Shabas. Why? Because look at the love he showed for Imam Hussein. In one of the letters, it's very interesting. Imam says, Shabas, this people of Kufa, they're like, come, al-ajal, come, digga, Baba, we're out of patience, right? It really reminds me of some of the things we do. Person's written a letter to Imam Hussein, says, come, digga, we're out of patience, come, we're ready for you. If time stopped at this point, you would read this letter, there's this person written a letter to Imam Hussein, and he's saying, come to us. We can't wait. Al-ajal, digga, Imam Hussein, don't waste a second. Run to us, we're ready for you. We can't wait for you to be our leader. If time stopped here, wouldn't we think these people were the best? Lovers of Hussein, amazing people. But what is this? This is a false category. This was false safety. Unfortunate for them, their false safety went away. What happened? Imam Hussein came, Ibn Ziyad came as well and said, and then you see the same people who wrote a letter, in few days, they're fighting against Imam Hussein. In few days. In a matter of few days, they're fighting against Imam Hussein. So false safety is going to be. So let us not fool ourselves, but these false safeties, let us try to get real. Even right now, after many years, we can't even tolerate the view of Imam Hussein and Imam Ali. Hala, for example, the groups of Muslims like the Shias who believe in that Imam Zaman, of course, all Muslims believe that Imam Mahdi will come, but some believe that Imam is already born. Do you know that even with regards to the awaited Imam, we have similar hadiths? Can you believe it? That Imam wants to forgive someone when he comes, and the people around him says, no, we can't take it. We're not going to forgive. I thought we're waiting for the Imam to come to tell us what to do. They say, no, we can't take this. You see, the mentality is there. When the way you're looking at the world is the way Muawiyah does, or for example, that side does, that you can deprive people of water, that this and that, not the way Imam Hussein is looking at the world, then you can end up doing things that are against him. And when Imam Hussein, when Prophet wants to show love, you stop it. Because that's the clash of views, right? The clash of views, the false safety goes away. So Imam Zaman even, Imam Mahdi, at one point, it's in our hadith, wants to forgive some people. The people around him are like, no, don't you see what they've done to us? Can't you see what they've done to us? Maybe at that point, it wouldn't be like, oh, I'm in this category. Nah, it's about who you really are about. What you really are about. Cool? And now, by the way, please, for beautiful people who are in the comment section, thank you so much to all of you. If it's okay, let's talk about it at the end. I'm just worried some people may get distracted because this is a very important topic, okay? Let's put this at the end, inshallah. I hope we can. Oh, by the way, let's make sure we're not getting close to Azan. Okay, now alhamdulillah, we've got some time. Hope the gate would gonna be what clash of. And right now, let me tell you, even right now, there are some people who cannot stand a certain view of, for example, our imams. I told in the month of Ramadan, I'm talking about us, not others, us. In the month of Ramadan, I spoke and I mentioned letter 23 of Nahj al-Balagha, in which Imam Ali forgives Ibn Muljam, and some people can't take it. They're like, no. I'm like, okay, it's not me. It's Imam Ali. What do you want to do that? This is your Imam. This is your Imam. This is between you and your Imam. When for years after years, we never try to make our views of the world similar to them, then suddenly when we hear about how they looked at Insan, how they looked at the world, we see, wow, we're nothing like that. We can't accept it. We can't take it. They're like, no, forgive him. How dare you, Sheikh? I wasn't there. I had nothing in that. I am not as loving as Imam Ali. I'm trying to be, but this is what Imam Ali did. Why are you mad? Why are you hating me? You know? And why does this happen? Because for many years we heard about these people, but never about how they're looking at Insan, what they were actually about. So don't think that it's very unlikely for us in a situation when it's about looking at Insan the way he does, we'll be like, no, Imam Hussein dige, Allah okay dige. We commemorated every year, we did not have dige, you're expecting too much now. Believe me, this will happen. Let me give you an example. Prophet has come, says why? I've come here for makarim al-akhlaq. And this has been narrated, this hadith, from the Prophet. We also have it from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He says, mentions four things. Prophet says, I've come here inni bu'ithtu li'utammima makarim al-akhlaq. Right? Prophet says, all of the effort I put, all my risala, all my prophethood, I had one goal. لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق. Not ethics, no, like brilliant ethics. مكارم الأخلاق. What are these things? What is مكارم الأخلاق, O Prophet, that you're saying all of this is for that? Mentions four things. And the same hadith we have also from Imam Sadiq, which means that the Imams try to carry this on forward. Let me read this for you. It says, عَفْوَ أَمَّنْ ظَلَمَكَ, to forgive the one who has oppressed you. Wait. This doesn't mean that, for example, allow the oppression to continue. I don't need to explain this. That's very clear. Because even one part way of showing love to the oppressor is to teach him that oppression is wrong. Because the oppressor is harming himself too. Oh? So this means no, let's say the situation is over, the oppression is ended, دیگه عفو عمن ظلمک. Or, don't think about this globally. It could be at home. Let's say your child says something to you, your child is rude to you, right? Or your partner. عفو عمن ظلمک. Or even a relative. Let's say, for example, with issues of inheritance, there's a fight between two brothers. He oppressed you, I know. He oppressed you. I said that's part of it. He oppressed you, forgive if you can. Silman qata'ak. You've got a friend who stopped their relationship with you, or a family member. If you see there's benefit, and if you see there you can go and help, go and help. Silman qata'ak. Go and help. They cut relationships with you. They're not calling you. You can. You do this. And of course, if you're not at a level that you can do this, don't force it on yourselves, because it's going to end up a tragedy, right? These are, what do we call it? These are milestones that inshallah we should try to get there. It's not something we can force ourselves to do. Because someone was saying, if you want to force it on yourself, masalan, someone is harmed you, you want to go show love, and after 1 minute you see they're not masalan changing, like I say, you don't even deserve the love, go screw yourself. No, these are milestones that we should work for, okay? Not something that we can force them. So af amman zalamak. Baba, if someone has oppressed you, it's okay. Come to apologize. Silman qata'ak. Someone cut the relationships with you, go back to them. Go and say, you start something. Ihsan ila man asa'a ilayk. Goodness to one who did bad to you. Ihsan ila man asa'a ilayk. Your sister was not nice to you. Your dad was not nice to you. Alon, you're in a position where you can be nice to them. Go and you be nice to them. And Allah, inshallah, I hope one session I have time to explain all of this. So how to do this, how to create these qualities in us, how to make sure it doesn't lead to more situations. Right? All of this we can talk. What else? إعطاء من حرمك. Someone didn't give you something. He had money, he didn't give you. He had this, didn't give you. He had love, he didn't give you love. Now he needs love, you go show love. إعطاء من حرمك. Someone deprived you, mahrum, right? Mahrum. Deprived you of something. Now that you have, give it to them. Prophet says, I came for these. This is what I'm all about. إني بعثت لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق. Prophet, what is مكارم الأخلاق? It's these ones. عفو من ظلمك، تصل من قطعك، إحسان إلى من أساء لك، وإعطاء من حرمك. حالا, when you see that this is what Prophet's view of insan is, of what is right, you realize, دیگه, there is no safe category for us. There are no good people and bad people. Because every single one of us can either be like this or not be like this. دیگه throw all these categories and put the categories aside. Now you have to sit down with yourself and look at your life and see, am I like this or not? And when someone hurts me, am I really forgiving them? Am I really showing love to them? Imagine, honestly, imagine if all of us lived like this. Do you think there would be one relationship, one marriage between Shias, like Shias who claim to be believing in Imam Hussein and Imam Sadiq, or Muslims who believe in Prophet? Forget about everything else. If only we lived according to this hadith, do you think there would be one fight between partners? One fight between siblings? Do you think there would be one person who was misunderstood? One person who felt unheard? One person who felt lonely? Do you think there would one person remain who felt no one showing love to them? Do you think we would be in these situations where we are carrying these wounds from one generation to another generation? This generation doesn't receive love from the previous one, passes it on to the next one. Anger is passed on. Withdrawal is passed on. Loneliness is passed on. Not forgiveness is passed on. Now, the question is of who is with Imam Hussein doesn't stop at who is doing mourning for Imam Hussein or who has put the name of his son Imam Hussein. Nah. The question is, who is following these qualities? And as you can see, when the test becomes real, when in order to look at to be with Imam Hussein, you have to change, you see, things are harder than we expected. And again, who can be like this? Who can, مثلا, forgive someone who's even oppressed them? Who can even show love to someone who didn't give them love when they needed? All of this again goes back to what the discussion we had. The view you have of insan. What are you seeing insan as? Imam Hussein says, I see insan as a divine project, as a beautiful thing, as a beautiful jewelry. So even if it makes mistakes, it's worth going back, fixing it, showing love. When you look at every single insan like this as something very precious, very valuable, then you can't say, let's get rid of this one. Let's screw that one. Let's forget that one. Because you know that for every single person who doesn't reach their potential, in a way, it's the failure of divine mission. Failure of divine project. So it wouldn't be easy for you to say, no, this person is done. This person is screwed. Right? This is very important. You have to look at insan through the eyes of God. This insan is a divine project. So much love, so much care has gone into it. There's another thing as well that if we add to this, suddenly things would be so much easier. What is that? Imam Hussein has taken it to the next level in Dua Arafah. Imam Hussein says in Dua Arafah, do you know what is one of the people who was under direct leadership and mission of God? Like, who is it? He says, the magicians of the Pharaoh. Again, I really expect you to please pay attention. Please put all the things you've heard aside. I want to tell you something very important. Imam Hussein says, do you know who was under very special attention and guidance of God? The magicians of the Pharaoh. They initially, all the time till that incident between the magicians and Prophet Musa, they were working for who? They were working for Pharaoh. They're working for Pharaoh not just as a normal person. No, they were actually being used to bring people away from God towards Pharaoh. If you want to think about magicians of Pharaoh right now, think of someone who's, let's say, is working against God completely. Imagine the biggest media channel or the biggest person who's trying to deceive everyone away from God, away from goodness, and towards being laborers for an oppressor. Not even away from God to just know God. No, to work for an oppressor, Pharaoh. These were the magicians. Their talent, everything they had was being used for Pharaoh. Now that we know this story, we don't hate them much because we know the end of the story. Which is being a little bit silly. Because what if they hadn't told us the end of the story? We say, no, these guys, finish them. These guys have to be this, that. Boycott them, do this to them, end them, cancel them, do this to them. If we hadn't heard the end of the story. But Imam Hussein says, no, Baba, God is not like that. God is not as, ajul as you guys. Literally from Dua Arafah, Imam Hussein says, God is not ajul. God says, you know what? These Sahare, you have no idea. I know what I'm doing with them. I know. They've got an amazing talent. I'm allowing them to go and use this talent. I let them become the best at what they can become. Let them go, let them become the best. Yes, they may be used for Pharaoh for a while. It's okay, let them go do that. Right? Let them make mistakes, let them even challenge me. Right? They were using their power to prove there is no God. God said, it's okay, let them do that. Let them do that. I have an idea, I have a plan. Stay with me. This is in Dua Arafah. Imam Hussein is saying this. God says, let them go make a mistake. Let them be the best in their work. I have a plan. What is your plan, God? He says then when they go to the end of what they're doing, when they go to the ultimate level a magician can get, then I'm going to send Musa to them to show them that, see, you went to the ultimate end of magic to get. Now I'm going to show you something more. But because of all those years of living through magic, you've seen all, you've seen it all, the world of magic, all that world of deception. Now, if I show you something bigger than that, you'll immediately accept, which is what happened. In one moment, they changed. If they hadn't gone through that, even if Musa had come, they would not have accepted, right? Imagine if a person like me, who's never seen any magic, for example, Masalan, Musa comes and does something, I'll be like, oh, that's magic. How do I know that's not magic? In order for them to believe in Musa, they had to go and see everything there was, so that when Musa presented what he had, they would say, oh my God, this is bigger than everything we've seen. And Imam Hussein says, see, this was God's plan. He gave them opportunity. He gave them freedom. They kept making mistakes. Imam says, God is not rushed to punish people. What is punishment, Baba? It's not about punishment. It's about bringing people to God. It's about that divine project. But for some people like the Sahara of Pharaoh, they have to go make mistakes. They have to go see that world so that when they see the beauty of God, they immediately accept it. And Imam says all of this is part of God's plan for people, part of God's project. And unfortunately, we don't have this in mind in our relationships, in our community, when we are with our partners, etc. Maybe, masalan, if we want to mention some of our role models, masalan, someone who is really has had so much, it's been very inspirational on me. Who is this person? Malcolm X. Very amazing role model. Honestly, any youth who reads the autobiography of Malcolm X, honestly, his life would change. He changed my life. But I can promise you, I can guarantee you that if Malcolm X lived right now and he was in the beginning of his story, we would not have allowed his story to finish. We would have left him out of our community. Have you read his book? Have you seen what he went through? Have you seen what kind of mistakes he made to find himself? Malcolm X was so lucky that he was not part of our community, right? When he made mistakes, no one boycotted him. No one isolated him. No one said, no, DK, you're not allowed. No, some people went and showed love to him and he found himself. But do we give that opportunity to people in our community right now to go make mistakes? So what? Baba, Imam Hussein says even the Sahara of Pharaoh, all those years, it was God's plan for them to go do things. God brought them back. But now, even some of our role models like Malcolm, we only tell our children the last chapter of his book. Baba, read it. Read Malcolm's autobiography. See if you're even there reading the first few pages out loud to your children. You wouldn't. All content, he did this, he did that too. So many of our role models are like that. They've been through a journey to find themselves. And there's nothing wrong with it. Maybe, in other words, do you remember how I said it's about the two views you have of insan? Either one view of God, which was followed by Prophet, followed by Imam Hussein, in which it sees insan as something very important, God's project, that has to go, make mistakes, find itself, and its worth and value is so much that justifies all of this. Either you have this view or you have the other view that no, one mistake, you're out. And the silly thing is, we say this even though we are the makers of the biggest mistakes. And one of the, alhamdulillah, blessings I have in my life is that I've made some crazy mistakes that do not allow me to judge anyone. Because I'm like, I am the maker of mistakes. How can I judge anyone? But although this is also beautiful for ourselves all, and even if you've made mistakes, and of course if it's, as I said, regarding people, we have to try and make it up to them. But never underestimate yourself. This is the point I'm trying to make. There are two ways of looking at insan. One is the view of God. The other one is a view that if you want to see in the Quran who started it, it was the angels. But angels accepted and repented, Shaitan continued that. What was this view? The view of this, that insan should not be made. And ultimately, The root of all of our issues is this. God said, I want to create something so beautiful. It's my Khalifa. You know God, how excited God is in this verse? He says, this is going to be my Khalifa on the earth. And then the angels are like, no, this one is going to go and make mistakes. Huh? And God says, so what? It's going to make mistakes. Yeah, it's going to make mistakes, but it's worth it. Yani it has to go make those mistakes so that it can find itself. Huh? Yani if you want to see our journey, inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Bebin, we started from God. وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِ. God says, every one of you blew into you from my own spirit. When we were inna lillah from God, that spirit, obviously it's beautiful. But now suddenly left in the world. Imagine part of God's spirit. وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِ. We were with God, pure innocence. Suddenly left into this world. As the more you get distance from God, what happens? There's more darkness. There's less God. The more we're left on our own. It's obviously not easy to find your way back, especially if you have free will. You have to choose. It's very difficult. You have to find way back to home, and you're just confused. New place. You were with God. Suddenly you're not. It's difficult. And God says, I know. This is part of the journey. They're going to make mistakes. Angel said, we glorify you. We praise you. God says, I know that's beautiful, but this one is going to do something which is more special. I don't want no one's praise. I don't need praise. I don't need glorification. Bless you, angels, for doing that. This one's going to do something more. This is one going to show my beauty. But sometimes in order to do that, it needs to make mistakes. And it's very beautiful. Of course, not everyone does that. Imam Hussein mentions that some people, due to their opportunity, due to the way their life is handled, from the beginning they can find a way. But no, some people have to go make mistakes. And Imam Hussein says all of these are part of God's plan. And they may go make mistakes. Masalan, what is one mistake they can make? They can even stand in front of Imam Hussein for 10 days. He stood in front of Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein told her, you know what? Okay, you don't want us to go to Kufa. It's fine. We'll go somewhere else. We'll go there. We'll just don't keep us here. This is not good, man. This is not good. Don't keep us here. We'll go somewhere else. We'll go to the border. Or let's go to Yazid and see what he says. No. This is what it is. It is what it is. Don't move. This is Hor. His journey took him in front of Imam Hussein. But Imam Hussein looks, what would we do? Right? When Hor came back. Say, no, Diga, you wasted your life, man. I don't think there's no situation to make it up. Diga, you've made a huge mess, man. Go. Imam Hussein, but as soon as Hor says, I want to come, he goes, come. What does Imam Hussein see? Imam Hussein sees all of God's love. Imam Hussein remembers God's project for the magicians of Fir'aun. Imam Hussein remembers all of this, knows the worth of this person for God, knows that if Hor doesn't come to Imam Hussein, God is the one who's failed, because Hor is a divine project, Imam Hussein says. So he says, come, Baba, come. I will go and ask forgiveness for you. Holmes, do you see the difference? Insan is very precious, and ultimately this is what it comes down to. Do you look at insan as this thing that is receiving dua arafe, unconditional love of God, la yanqata'u abada, will never stop. La yanqata'u abada, Imam Hussein's word, God's love for insan will never finish, will never stop. وَفِيهَا أَنْشَأْتَنِي وَمِنْ قَبْلِ ذَلِكَ رَأَفْتَ بِي, and started from before this person was even alive. When you look at people like this, or do you look at people the same way that angels initially looked at them? Or these are the ones who make mistakes, and if they make mistakes, because see what angels are saying before their repentance. It's very naughty. They say insan is going to make mistakes, so don't even create them. Yani they want to finish the story from the very beginning. Which is what we do every single time with bad people in the world. We see there's a bad person, masalan, hala we call it bad dige. Otherwise, if we know what is bad, we would see we are the root of all, masalan, some of the badness. But we see someone, we say to God exactly what angels say to God. This is a bad person. Why did you even create it? Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. Isn't this, there's something from which the angels repented? So it ultimately comes down to this. My time is running over. I will end this live session and inshallah start another one. Maybe we can have a Q&A. Thank you so much for joining us. And this was basically a discussion on 2 ways of looking at insan. I will not start another live session for Q&A. خب بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. I had to end that live session because, as I said, Instagram only allows 1 hour, and we had hit the end of the 1 hour, so I had to end that one and start another one. So inshallah now, although I wanted to finish a little bit, had a few more things to say, but inshallah we'll talk about it on another opportunity. So if there are any questions, I'm at your service. We're getting close to the time of prayer, so if there are any questions, now it's the time, please, or any points you have to mention, anything, I'm at your service. And inshallah, let's see, where do we go from here? Does Allah still love us even if we continue committing the same sin? As I said, God's love never ends. لا ينقطع أبدا. Imam Hussein says, يا ذا المعروف الذي لا ينقطع أبدا. Maybe this is very important to realize. Aslan, God's love for us is not because of our actions. And this is very important. A lot of us think God loves us for our good actions. So if we're not doing good actions, we're doing bad actions, it will stop. But you have to know that Imam Hussein says, no, Baba, Aslan has nothing to do with your actions. God's love started for you before you were even born. وَفِيهِ أَنْشَأْتَنِي وَمِنْ قَبْلِ ذَلِكَ. قَبْلِ ذَلِكَ means before that, before my birth, you loved me. If God had unconditional love for you before even your birth, it means it has nothing to do with your actions. It's because of who you are. You have essential worth. You are so important, so precious, essentially. If we think, now the question becomes, what is the point of our actions then? Why should we act? Imam Hussein again answers in Dua Arafah. He says, baby, let me make something very clear. We said something. You are unconditionally loved, important, worthy, valued by God. Nothing will stop that. يَا ذَا الْمَعْرُوفِ الَّذِي لَا يَنْقَطِعُ أَبَدًا. It would not be qata', never. Now someone says, why should we masalan pray then? Why should we have good actions? Imam Hussein says, baby, let me make something clear. You're not doing any of this for God. God doesn't need your prayer. God doesn't need your kindness. God doesn't need anything from you. Your fasting, your reciting Quran. God doesn't need any of this. Why should I do this? Imam says, baby, with your actions, what happens is that your eyes open to this unconditional love that you've been receiving. Because if you think about it, a lot of us, we don't feel loved. A lot of us, we don't feel we're essentially, we have worth, essential worth. How does this show itself? I mean, a lot of the times, as our stress in this life, when we're low, someone who loved us suddenly stops their love and go. We suddenly feel so broken. It's like, oh my God, am I not worthy of love? Or what's wrong with me? We have all of these issues, and we're not living a good life. We don't feel loved. And as a result of that, a lot of our life is spent seeking love, seeking things that calm us, seeking things that make us feel better, seeking things that, we'll say, okay, if I have that, then I'll be enough. Why is all of this? Even though from before we were born, we were enough. We were enough, we were more than enough, we were beautiful, we were valuable, but we don't feel that. So our actions are there to help us feel this. Imam Hussein has this line in Dua Arafah. It says that, so I can see your love in every inch of the world, in every corner of the world. And this is again also a very beautiful point. Why? Because it shows that if you're just praying, because they told you to pray, and you don't like it, and it's not doing anything for you, it's not that beneficial. And if it's only to check a box, but it doesn't make you feel more loved, it doesn't make you feel more worthy, it's not doing much. So we are unconditionally loved, we have unconditional essential worth. Nothing we do is for God because God doesn't need anything. So why do we do things? Why are we? It says in order so that we can feel this love. So the result of prayer should lead to feeling loved. If it's not, we're doing it wrong. We should change it. And a person who's been praying for 5 years, 10 years, who's been reading the Quran, who's been reading the du'as, has to read it in this way. And if you don't feel more loved than, for example, a year ago, if, for example, these 10 days of Muharram came and we don't feel more loved, then we haven't done it right. So that was the question. If there's any other question, if someone dies not fulfilling their purpose they were created for, that means God has failed. At least in this world, دیگه. But the beauty of it is that God doesn't leave us in that world. That's a beautiful discussion we will have. That many of us, inshallah, will find our way after we die. Of course, it's way better and easier to find it here, دیگه, because why not feel loved earlier? But if we don't find it here, even God will help us after we die. That's definitely true. And as I said, yes, every person who doesn't get to that place, in a way, it's the failure of the teacher, right? You remember last session I gave the example of a gardener. The way Imam Hussein talks about God and insan, it's like God is a very patient, loving gardener who's been, taking care of this tree. Masalan, it's very beautiful. It's masalan, the way it says, masalan, the gardener came, bought a land, and then waited for the weather to get good. Masalan, they told the gardener, for a few years, there's going to be drought, so don't plant a tree. He said, okay, I'll wait. And he had, masalan, this tree in his mind, waited. Then when the weather got better, the drought went away. He said, okay, I'm going to plant the seed. And then watered it, kept it, till it grew. Now, if this tree doesn't bear fruits, the gardener has failed. The gardener is going to be broken, right? Which is actually in one of our adiyah, in the dua, Imam says to God, it's very beautiful. He says, if I go to hell or if I don't reach my potential, okay, you will be upset. Your prophet will be upset. Remember, this is very important. This is God's project, every single one of us. So every one of us who don't get there, it's a failure. But obviously God wouldn't fail, so he will eventually help us. But the earlier we get there, the easier the ride would be. In Quran I have my own interpretation of this verse. It says, إِنَّا هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلَ إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا. It says this is the way, إِنَّا هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلَ. We've shown them the way. Either they're going to be shakiran or kafura. My interpretation is this, that eventually all of us will get there. But the difference is what? How did you feel during the ride? Did you felt loved? Did you felt good? Did you had so love that you could even share with others, make the world a better place? Or were you miserable and this and that, and like they had to do so much to teach you about your love? The earlier you learn your love, the easier the ride would be. You wouldn't go through so much difficulty. Masan, do you remember in the nights of Qadr, I spoke about, Masan, if I have jealousy and I don't fix it, even if I get to God, this jealousy is going to kill me. Masan, I see, this person is closer to God, or he's feeling more love. This jealousy will kill me. So this jealousy does not stop God from loving me, but it stops me from feeling God's love. So remove jealousy, remove all of this. Why? So that you can feel the love easier, better, so that the ride is more enjoyable. I'm trying to see if we have more questions. Can very kind people who help others but do not believe in God go to Jannah? Definitely. Maybe in Allama Tabatabai has a very beautiful line in Al-Mizan. He says, Iman is to act according to the truth you have found. Let's say someone really, masalan, does a research, etc., and genuinely doesn't find that, masalan, there is a God. Do you think God is going to be so, masalan, saying, you didn't believe? No, it's versus God. What could I do? I did my best. My idea is that most people will believe in some sort of, if they do their best, some sort of, they may not call it God, but they must call it this awesome reality or an awe-inspiring reality, and whatever. But if a person did their best, this is what Allama Tabatabai says. He said, Iman is to act according to the truth that you have found. Even if in this world they don't see, if a person is really truth-seeking, if I am truth-seeking, let's say in this world I was not convinced. In that world, God says, God will show himself to me and I will accept. It's all about being truth-seeking, acting according to the truth you have found. Because honestly, the actions a lot of us do put people off from religion. Believe me. Imagine you're a person and the religion right now is being promoted to you. That maybe there are this group of people, they say their love is their God is loving, but if you miss your prayer, He's going to punish you. If you this do, He'll punish you. Hope. The first thing you've done is you've screwed God's love. Yani, what love is there? Yani, this is very different to Dua Arafah. Very different. Yani, this theology has nothing to do with Dua Arafah. Imam Hussein on the one hand says, Baba, I made mistakes. As some magicians of Fir'aun were not atheists. They were as working against God. Oh, God still loved them. And we tell people, you miss one prayer, God stops loving you. See, the religion we're putting out there, it's really a joke. It has nothing to do with what Imam Hussein says. This is his love. This is their God's love. Yani, you make one mistake, He stops loving you. What kind of love is this? Even I love people more than this. This is the religion a lot of people are being taught. This is the love. There's going to be, masalan, this punishment. He is such a greedy God. You made one mistake, wait, I will show you. And then they say you have to pray. Why should they pray? It's wajib for them to pray. And then you look at them after 20 years of prayer, they're still the same thing. They're not more calm. They're not more loved. They're not more connected. Nothing. How is this interesting for people who are not born into it? And this is what we've done to it. This is what we've done to religion. And we have this talent of praying for 60 years and not changing, which is, of course, as I said, because they've taught it to us wrong. They've taught it to us completely wrong. Or, masalan, you can commemorate 10 days for Imam Hussein, and then after Muharram, get angry with your children. How? Get angry with your wife. Hala, masalan, let's say you're working on your anger. Fair enough, I know, working on your anger is difficult. But if you had an anger episode, you have to go kiss their hand to forgive you. This is Imam Hussein. And how can you, masalan, commemorate 10 days for Imam Hussein and afterwards still be angry with your partner, with your children? How? I don't get that. If this is the Hussein, this is the religion we're showing to people, obviously a lot of people won't like it. Well, they won't like it. The Prophet said, why did I bring religion? I've written it here for you. The Prophet said, I brought religion for this. Makarim al-akhlaq. Af amman zalamak. To be able to forgive the one who's hurt you. Sil man qata'ak. Someone who's cut you off, you can go back to them. Ihsan ila man asa'a ilayk. You can show kindness to the one who did bad to you. And i'ta'u man haramak. If this is not in us who are claiming to be a part of religion, obviously a lot of people wouldn't want to be part of it. And can't you really judge them? Once our worldview, our look of insan becomes like Imam Hussein, then yadkhuluna fi dinillahi afwaja, which is what Imam Sadiq said as well. Imam Sadiq said, if you guys really lived like us, everyone would love to hear you. But we don't. We don't live like them. And that's the problem. So is there a difference between love and attachment? There is. We've spoken about this in our... which series was it? I think it was in the Spiritual Healing series. No, in Spiritual Sundays. In Spiritual Sundays, one session I spoke completely about that. Yes. The love I'm talking about is very beautiful. What happens? There's two types of love. A person who hasn't understood their own worth. Okay, we have to go for prayer as well. A person who hasn't felt this love of God. The one that we talked about today in Dua Arafah. Says you were loved before you were born without any action, unconditionally. If we don't feel this, what happens? We want it. We want it. If we don't feel it inside from God, what's going to happen is that we're going to go out seeking it from others. Either other things or other actions or objects or a job or something. Because there's a God-shaped hole inside us for His love that's now lacking. So natural thing is no judgment. If you don't feel that love, you're going to go out seek for it. And imagine if let's say I found a person who for now is filling this hole. Like I needed love and now this person is giving it to me. Definitely I'm going to become controlling. Definitely I'm going to become manipulative because now you're the one filling my love, my need for love. If you go away, what's going to happen? You're taking part of me with you. Obviously, it's going to be difficult. Obviously, it's going to be attached to you. Obviously, it's going to be, I'm going to try to manipulate you. Either I'm going to be angry and controlling you. Hey, stay at home. Don't go see your mother. Right? Or, for example, there's all sorts of ways of controlling. Masalan, you want to distance yourself from me. I'll look upset and sad. All of this is ways of controlling others, manipulating others. Sometimes I may even control you. How? by suppressing myself, like I don't share my opinions. Let's say I don't have a friend, and now a friend is coming to me, showing love to me, feeling that need. One way to control that friend is for me to say, you know what, abandon myself. I'll never share my opinion. What if I share my opinion, my friend doesn't like it, and she leaves me, or he leaves me? Yani, as once this we don't feel this love inside, then we got to get it from outside, and then as soon as someone shows it, we're going to come up with all sorts of ways to keep it there. And sometimes these ways are actually damaging to us. Imagine someone who never asserts herself, never shares her opinion, scared that if I share my opinion, what if my husband leaves me? Or what if my friend leaves me? And the person abandons herself to make sure the source of love is still there. It's a controlling. But, so this is one way which leads to attachment and some issues. Not that there's anything wrong with loving people, but imagine now there's another way of being in relationship with people. You feel, مثلا you read Dua Arafah, believe me, please, if you مثلا read Dua Arafah or listen to our sessions. We have that sessions, I think it's 3 or 4. We spoke about God's love. Maybe read this, reflect upon it. But I'll even mention how we can bring this love more inside us in our community, pass it to our children. And there are ways of passing this love to our children. Let's say a person gets to that level. They feel this love, this essential worth inside. They feel always great. They feel so much love. Then they're like, okay, I have extra love here. I want to share with people. I want to give it to others. So I need another friend now. Before I needed a friend to fill my need. Now I have extra love. I need a friend to share it with. Or I need a partner because there's so much love here. I need to give it to you know how sometimes, for example, they say if Salam, I'm not going to give an example. Maybe some people will get upset. But anyway, when you have something extra, you want to give it to people. So you have love. You want to be in a relationship with your partners so you can show love. You want to have friends so you can show love with them. And this is why loving people is actually beautiful. And anyone who says in order to love God, you should not love people, that's nonsense. I know my mom is going to say, don't say nonsense. So she is right. So I should say anyone who says that, in my opinion, they're making a judgmental mistake. And the truth of the matter, in my humble opinion, is that you can love as many people as you want. And that's the natural thing that happens, when God loves come here, it's pouring outside. And you see your Imam Hussein, you show love to even the enemy. Your Imam Ali, you show love to Ibn Muljam. You forgive him. And you say you give even food to him. The love is sort of, forget about loved ones, relationship, friends. Definitely. The ones who say in order to love God, you shouldn't love others. How far from Imam Hussein are they? Imam Hussein says, Baba, I feel God's love so much, I won't even love my enemy. And you're telling me in order to God love, I shouldn't love my family? That's very silly. Again, my mom would say, don't say silly. So what can I say? How can I be more polite? I would say it seems incorrect to me. See, we're all growing. Bless mothers who always take care of us no matter how old we are. So that was the question, difference between love and attachment. The question about hell, inshallah we'll talk about that one day. But know that it's hell is within us. Masalan, I said jealousy. Jealousy is hell. Because masalan, imagine right now, let me give you imagine right now, we've had these 10 days of month of Muharram, this commentary on Dua Arafah. I personally enjoyed it so much. I was reading Imam Hussein's lines. It changed my mind. It was beautiful. A lot of people also seem to be enjoying. So alhamdulillah, we had a very small community. We were reading Imam Hussein's Dua and having so much fun and loving us. And these 10 days I had so much enjoyment. Some people say it's Muharram. How come you enjoy? Baba, what do I do? Imam Hussein is beautiful. I enjoy his beauty. You want to make that haram too? You want to say in Muharram, don't enjoy Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein is so beautiful. I enjoy reading his dua. Make that haram. What should I do? These 10 days, we read commentary on Dua Arafah and I got honestly crazy with God's love. It's so beautiful the way God loves us. We enjoyed it. Life was beautiful. Now imagine if I, for example, had jealousy inside me. Masalan, so my lectures is getting 200 views. I go online and see, mashallah, this other lecture is getting 2,000 views. If I have jealousy within me, all of that joy, all of that beauty, all of God's love would be destroyed. That person getting 2,000, 200. this is not worth it. Oh, hope that would destroy my own life. Baba, everything is beautiful. You're enjoying beautiful people, beautiful company, beautiful dua. We're having, who cares? 200 views. Another person, mashallah, he's worked harder, he's getting more views. If I have jealousy in me, that number alone would ruin everything for me. 10 days of enjoyment gone. And that's hell. Yani my heaven of 10 days would turn into hell of, why is that speaker getting more views? See, yani one jealousy inside can turn heaven into hell. And of course, God wouldn't, even if I was jealous, even if there's someone jealous, God doesn't leave us with our jealousy. God will help us heal. Because ultimately, God wants all of us to feel the love. So God would come to you and even help your jealousy. So that's no problem. But what about the descriptions of hell in the Quran and Ahadith? We'll talk about it. Maybe in the Ahadith, we haven't read all of the Ahadith. There seems to be a pattern of only mentioning some of the Ahadith. Right? And if you look at the Adiyah, look at the full comprehensive scope of the Adiyah and the life of the Prophet, the way he dealt with people, you will see how Quran makes sense as well. Let me mention some of the hadiths they never read for you. There's this hadith that, you know how we spoke about the magicians of the Pharaoh, but we have it about the Pharaoh. There's the hadith that Pharaoh, when he was getting drowned in the water, do you remember the story? Prophet Musa opened up the water, they went inside. When Pharaoh and his people wanted to go through, the water came back, they all drowned. The hadith says that Musa, when he was getting drowned, he asked help from Musa or something like that, like, I'm sorry now. And Musa said, it's too late, etc., etc. Alan, you're fake, you're not honest. Alan, you're saying I'm sorry, it's because you're seeing you're drowning, so you're not. The hadith says later on, God told Prophet Musa, why did you do that? Why did you not hear him? Pharaoh. Musa says, God, he was lying. He was lying. He didn't want help. He hadn't repented. He just wanted to get out because he was drowning. God says, I know he lied, but why didn't you accept? He's lying. It's beautiful. At least he's lying. At least out of lie, he's claiming to be sorry. Accept it. He says, if he'd called me, I would have accepted. This is our hadith. But this hadith, they never read for us. Right? So don't think that our hadith is all about descriptions of hell. No, this is our hadith. That God told to Musa, if Pharaoh had told me, even out of lie, I would have accepted. We have so many hadiths like this. Imam, even in our du'as, there's this dua from Imam Hussein that says, God, you were so nice to me. From Imam Ali, I think. From Imam Ali. Dua. He says, you were so nice to me in this world. I made mistakes. You allowed me to make mistakes. You never exposed me. You covered my sins. You made me even forget. You're so beautiful like this. How is my death going to change your beauty? Like, you're beautiful. You're showing all of this love. How come suddenly if I die, you'll stop being beautiful? What power does my death have over you? Are we saying that as soon as he died, God changes? This is Imam Ali saying, no. Imam Sajjad again, in another dua, I put this in my Instagram. Imam Sajjad says, God, if I have lived a good life with good actions, and you manage to feel your love, I'll come there among your love and beautiful. If I didn't feel your love, if I made mistakes, if I made bad actions, then I will come that way to your maghfirah. So again, everything is good. Because God's maghfirah, God's forgiveness will help me heal. So God is not this, greedy person waiting to punish us. But again, as I said, this doesn't mean that our actions are worthless. No, because the earlier you manage to feel this love, the easier life would be for you. Maybe life is very difficult. I know it, you know it. We have to deal with the stress of providing a life, and then, dealing with the stress, illnesses of our loved ones. But later on in life, you have to take care of, your grandfather who's getting ill. This person gets Alzheimer's. You have to be there for them, and it breaks your heart. They don't remember you. It's very difficult. Life is very difficult. But you open the news, you see a beautiful child getting killed in this stupid attack on مثلا oppressed country. خب all of this مثلا pain from all. خب don't you want to find the source that makes all of this easier early on? The result of good action is this: at least you bring God's love to your heart, so the ride is less difficult. The ride is beautiful. The fact that I'm saying even after our death God would be there for us doesn't mean that we should wait till then. Why not start enjoying earlier on? But life is very difficult. It's very difficult, honestly. If it was up to me and there was no God in this world, I would not want to be alive. Amount of pain, amount of difficulty, and especially the more you love people, the harder the world gets. Because if you don't love others, you only care about your own suffering of the more people you love, the more people suffering you care about. It becomes very difficult. Why not bring this love of God earlier on so it's not difficult? If someone says, if God is going to show love to us even after we die, then what's the point of our good actions? You tell them, the point of our good actions is that we start to feeling God's love earlier on, and we can, inshallah, change this place into a much more beautiful place. Sheikh, when reading the Quran, there is so much focus on hell. Why isn't there more about love? There is. I'm going to show you. Inshallah, we'll talk about all of that. I really understand your frustration now, but I'll talk about it. And then you will see, maybe you can look at something and you think you're seeing it, but you don't know that even the way to see something has been given to you by your culture. This is very important. And inshallah, in our discussion on this will come in handy. Maybe how many of you had read Dua Arafah all these years? Many people are reading Dua Arafah دیگه. حالا tell them afterwards که مثلا God is loving. They'll be like, no, God is loving? God's going to punish you, this of that. Not one of them would mention a line from Dua Arafah that, no, this is God's love. Why? Because even the way you're reading Dua Arafah was given to us by our culture. That, baby, you don't need to think about it all. You don't even need to understand it. Just read the lines. Read the lines. مثلا چی؟ الحمد لله الذي ليس لقضائه دافع ولا كصنعه صنع صانع. I know it mentioned this. وفيه أنشأتني ومن قبل ذلك رأفت بي. It mentions this and this. Everyone's crying. Everyone's feeling beautiful. But no one stays to think, Alan, this line you recited, mashallah, very beautifully. What does it mean? This is it again. Even the way we look at things, it's given to us by our culture. Many of us have read Dua Arafah every year, but have not seen what's inside it until this year in this commentary. Honestly, listen to these sessions we've had, these night sessions so far. Inshallah, we're going to continue every Friday because I'm madly in love with Dua Arafah. Listen to these 9 sessions and tell me, honestly, if any of this were ever mentioned when they were just reciting it. So this is what I'm saying. We looked at it, we passed it on to our next generation, none of us knowing what it says. Baba, مثلا Imam Hussein has that line, وَأَوْجَبْتَ حُجَّتَكَ عَلَيَّ بِأَنْ أَلْهَمْتَنِي مَعْرِفَتَكَ. I read the translation, both Persian and English. I was like, what does this say? Even the translation didn't make sense. But once you explain it, once you open it up, you realize, Baba, if I say this, they're going to boycott me. They're not going to let me lecture anymore. But this is Imam Hussein is saying. But even, we don't care. All these people read the translation, not even one of them thought, what does this even mean? And you made incumbent upon me the revelation of your proof. What does that mean? Honestly, many people read that. I'm sure none of us understood it, and we thought, alhamdulillah, we're getting the sawab. Alhamdulillah, we have passed the love of Imam Hussein to the next generation. Look, everyone's reciting Dua Arafah. Beautiful. But this line, there's so much lesson in it. It's saying that you have God's direct line inside your heart. بأن ألهمتني معرفتك means, God, you reveal to me your knowledge. Inside every single one of us, God speaks. There's God's voice within us. God sends His knowledge directly to our heart. And Imam says in this passage of the dua, this direct communication inside you with God is prior to religion in importance. Yani مثلا if they explain something to you in religion and it's inside you feel, oh, this seems cruel. Imam says, don't you ever sacrifice your own feeling for what they tell you. This is what I'm going to ask you about. Right? Yani it says the good and wrong. You have the main source inside. Of course, it has to be guided. You have to read. But it says, this is what أوجبت حجتك علي. And this is the proof that God's going to ask about. Oh, and we have it even in the Quran as well. And if مثلا you go on the day of judgment, مثلا they say, oh, why did you show this مثلا oppression? Why were you hating on those people? Why were you so rude to them? And say, oh, they told me in the lecture, it was part of my religion. God says, okay, it was part of your religion, fair enough. But didn't I send this voice inside you that made you feel cringe every time you were doing it? Why didn't you take the cringe seriously? Look how much respect God is showing you, saying you are more important than all the people trying to teach you. And if this wasn't there, how would I know which religion to choose? This one line in Dua Arafah full of amazing knowledge and respect for you. Do you know how much this is raising you? Masalan, in a discussion in the Masalan center, they may say, all of these teenagers, they don't know anything. They let them... God says, no. Baby, I care about what you're 13-year-old, 14, 15, 18, 19. I don't care. Within you, the truth lies within you. You get to choose. Of course you have to read and all of that. But God said, I put direct communication with you. This is very important. The amount of respect God gives us in this line. But because we read it for the sawab, we never paid attention to any of this. I want to tell you, why did I say all of this? To say that the Quran is the same. We think we've read the Quran. But the way we've even, it's the same way. I'll show you how much love is even in the Quran. Let me mention one example so that you don't like, oh, Sheikh is like making this up. One example from loving the Quran. Prophet Yunus. Prophet Yunus spent so much love like Imam Hussein style for his people. He kept showing them love, trying to show them the truth. They wouldn't accept. They were very they didn't. Prophet Yunus, his patience ran out. God, I can't deal with these people anymore. What does our God says to in the Quran? He says, وَلَا تَكُنْ كَصَاحِبِ الْحُوتِ. Very beautiful. This is in the Quran. So God says, Prophet Yunus, amazing prophet, beautiful, so spent so many years in patience with his people. But at some point his patience ran out. Not towards good people, but towards very bad people. Very bad people who were not listening to him. God says, Prophet, you don't be like him. And our Prophet showed that his patience never ran out. This is the God's love for you. God is loving to his Prophet that no matter how much mistakes they make, never let go, never give up on them. These are my creation. This is in the Quran. And of course, even in the Quran, Prophet Yunus realizes, he says, God, I'm sorry. It was my shortcoming. Should have been more patient with them. And we have that hadith as well in which God says to one of his prophets, the reason you can give up on them so easily is that you didn't create them. If you'd created them, shown the love I showed to them, you wouldn't have given up on them. And what is this creation? Imam Hussein explained in Dua Arafah. Do you want to know what is creation? Watch our first few sessions on commentary on Dua Arafah. And this, even in the Quran, there is so much love. But we have to, inshallah, look at it this way. I would like to add this because people may get confused, listen to their heart and leave what the lecturer said. Of course, Ali John, of course, definitely. I mentioned that as well. Definitely. Everyone else also knows that. We're going to read, we're going to do our research when we want to listen inside. Definitely. Thank you so much, Ali John. That's definitely true. And of course, inshallah, many people are like that. We listen to what's inside us, but of course, we need to read. As the Quran says, listen to everyone. Read all the books. You have this voice inside you that enables you to choose. So you listen to different things out there, and then you choose the best one. Definitely. Thank you so much for putting that out. And perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. It's time for prayer. I hope you enjoyed this session. And be in Allah's love and care. Thank you so much for joining us. Do you know you just made heaven? Speaking about Imam Hussein, God's love together. in this is our heaven دیگه. Alhamdulillah. And take care of yourselves, and I hope that we actually become like Imam Hussein inshallah. Thank you so much. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.